Hey everybody, Aaron Blaise here, and we are on our second Friday stream. It's been a really great week. I hope you guys had a really great Black Friday and Cyber Monday and bought all kinds of cool stuff for Christmas. I know we have. I got an 82-inch TV. It's 82 inches. It's huge.
82.
I got a movie screen in my living room now. Now I can watch my movies. Huge.
I got a new camera bag.
Oh, Dustin got a new camera bag. That's cool. So we've been we're happy. We got a couple things, but it's only stuff. Doesn't matter. It's just stuff. What matters is us, right, Dustin?
Uh,
Just say yes.
okay.
All right. So we got an exciting one today. I'm really excited to do the stuff that we're going to do. Tomorrow. Actually, we want to jump to this for the slide, Dustin. Tomorrow we've got our believable creature design course that we're going to be doing live, and so that starts at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, my time,
Hello.
and I think we go until 5. Is it 5 or 6? I think we go until 5, and it's going to be really cool, and it's kind of my approach to the way I think about designing creatures, and I'm going to be talking about anatomy. I'm going to be talking about musculature, how muscles work, all that kind of stuff. I want to cover all kind of the basics so that you have somewhat of an understanding going into now taking those, what happens in the real world, and abstracting from that and changing it to create creatures of your own. And it's really a lot of fun to do. And so we're going to be doing that tomorrow. And those tickets are still on sale. So go over to creatureartteacher.com/live and you can still get tickets for that. Now, the flip side of that, today, I'm going to just change the subject real quick and then we'll go back over to housekeeping business. What's really cool is also, hopefully I'm going to have it done by Christmas. That's the goal. So Dustin and I have been filming and interviewing and all kinds of things like crazy. But kind of going hand in hand with the design course tomorrow that's live, I'm creating a whole new course on imaginary hidden creatures of the forest. Now, a lot of you guys know this is something that I've loved ever since I was a little kid. I've always imagined little creatures that we haven't discovered running around out in the woods, and I loved creating them and seeing what they look like. Whether it be elves and fairies and all that kind of stuff, but like my versions of what they might be. And so we're working on that right now. And today I think we're going to do a little bit of that. I want to show you, give you a little taste of how I like to approach this stuff and how I like to mix photography with it. And it's a lot of fun. So that's what we're going to do today. You guys are really going to dig it. I'm really excited about it. And so we're going to go to that. But before we get into that, I want to mention also, we had our Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. Well, we had some tech issues through the week there, and so we decided to extend it through the entire week. So, if you guys thought you missed it, you didn't. Today is our last day for our Cyber Week sale. That's what we decided to call it, our Cyber Week sale. And so you can still go over to our website and save 40% off of all of our courses, which is huge. You can save $75 off of our membership as well. So that's really, really big. So go over to creatureartteacher.com and there's a lot of great savings you can get over there. And I think that's $100 off of our animal bundle as well, which is a lot of my animal drawing courses. So there's some great stuff going on. And once again, I want you to remember, for tomorrow's course, we have not filled up yet. And so if you want to go to creatureartteacher.com/live, you can still get a ticket and join us for my creating believable creature designs. It's going to be a lot of fun. What am I missing? Patreon.
Patreon.
We've always got Patreon. Patreon is something that really gives us it's our little drop in the bucket that helps us, kind of gives us a little bit of financial aid to create content for you guys. And so if you can go over to Patreon and give us some support, it's really appreciated. And there's different tiers there, and actually we owe 2 live streams for our Patreon members that are at the $10 tier. We're going to be doing that this month, so go over and check that out. I think that's about it. Oh, also remember, we've got my brand new oil painting course is out right now, and which we don't have a slide for. We've got Tim Hodge. Do you have a slide for Tim Hodge?
No,
we don't have a slide. But also Tim Hodge and his creating cartoon People is out. That came out over the weekend, last weekend, and it's selling like hotcakes. If you remember, he did how to do cartoon animals, and it really caters to our younger audience members and actually some of our older audience members that are just starting out. It's really helpful. He has some great information, and Tim's a great guy. He's pretty funny, and he has a great way of teaching. So go over and check out our Creating Cartoon People, which is the companion course to his Creating Cartoon Animals. It's awesome, and so go on over and check that out. So today I want to create a creature, and Dustin and I. Well, first of all, I got Dustin with me as always.
Hi.
Say hi, Dustin. There you go. And he's going to be working with me and answering questions or asking questions from you guys. And then, of course, as always, we've got Nick Birch over in Sarasota, Florida. He's about 180 miles away, and my business partner, and he's going to be helping us out with questions on YouTube and Twitch and some of the other platforms. So let's go to the desktop, Dustin. So one of the things I love to do, I really love to do this, is I go out in the forest and I just explore. And as I'm exploring, I try to imagine if I were this hidden creature. Oh, first of all, go back to the camera. The other thing I do is it's not just, I don't just go out there and think willy-nilly about just creating a creature. I really think about the environments, but also from a biological standpoint, I've really looked a lot at mimicry in the animal world. Animals that mimic textures, other animals, that sort of thing, in order to blend in. And that's a huge part of my creature design that I do, because I think it's so fascinating. How over time has a katydid, this green grasshopper, evolved to look exactly like a leaf. It's incredible to me. Or how moths, can land on a tree and blend in perfectly with that bark, and you can't see it. Or how a certain fly has evolved to look like a bee, or an octopus can change its skin texture in an eye blink and become a rock or coral or whatever. These things I just think are so fascinating, and it's really cool to kind of take those ideas and apply them to creatures that we make up, that we just imagine. And that's what I try to do when I go out into the forest. So I go out and I'm always looking for textures and patterns and things that I can repeat and create in my creatures. And then I love to go in and take little macro photographs. And in this case, I've got my photographer, Dustin, who's killing it on the camera lately. And so I just go back to being a director again. So I kind of direct Dustin on what I'm looking for and what I need, and he gets in there and he shoots it for me. And so I want you to look at my screen right now. I've got some really cool little macro shots. Stay hydrated, my friend. I've got some really cool macro shots of ferns, and these are actually the surface of live oaks. Live oaks we have in Florida. They're these oak trees that grow in the forest, and they call them live oaks because they have all kinds of other plant life that grow all over them. And for me, that's just a perfect little world to create these little imaginary creatures. And I've got this one little race of elves that I imagine living in these live oaks that live among the ferns, and we call them limb runners. And they run amongst the limbs of the trees like squirrels, except they're little humanoid elves, but they've taken on some of the traits of some of the plants around them. And so I wanted to create something like that today. And this is going to give you a little taste of what we're going to have in the course. And so if this is something that interests you, then we're going to have a lot more of it. And I'm going to go much deeper into the anatomy creation and that sort of thing on these courses. And I don't know if you can see. Oh, hey, Achilles. Let's see. Do you hear Dr. Achilles bark? So, and one of the things I love to do, especially in these worlds, I like to make them photorealistic. And so I do a big cheat. And a lot of people will say, is there cheating in this? And isn't it cheating doing this? You know what? When it comes to digital image creation, for me, if I'm going out and shooting my worlds and doing this stuff, there is no cheating. I'm creating what I want to create. And so what I like to do is shoot these little worlds, get in tight and shoot these macro shots, and and imagine a character in there. And I like to paint the characters right into the background. And hopefully you kind of can't tell the difference. So it feels like they're really there. And that's a lot of fun. It's fun to fool the eye. And so I've got all these little worlds that Dustin has shot. And I picked one out. I think this one here, I want to take this one. I like this. I like this tiny little world. And over on the right side, right here, we've got this nice blurred out area where I can put a character. And I'm going to put it in the same depth of field as the rest of the parts that are in focus. So it's going to feel like he's, or it, she, whatever, is going to be right there. It's really a lot of fun to do this. And so I think without further ado, why don't we just go ahead and dive in?
Go right to it.
Oh, and if you like these streams, please share them and hit the like button because it actually really helps us out a lot. So So the first thing I want to do is I want to design the creature. I don't want to get in on the photograph yet. So I've already created a file right here. And I want to start to maybe design a little bit. And I'm looking at these ferns and I'm thinking, okay, maybe it has little appendages growing off of it. So that they can blend in with the ferns. Actually, we've already got a YouTube question. Sir, which is a good and not so expensive drawing tablet that you would like to suggest for beginners? I think an iPad Pro, and I know that's not cheap, but iPad with Procreate is really portable, and it's super, it's just super portable and super versatile. You get that with the Apple Pencil, and it's awesome. So I would suggest that. I'm going to go back to talking about this real quick before I go on. The other thing, and I don't have photos of them. Well, actually, I have one up here. Not only do we have the ferns, but we have the bark, the tree bark that the ferns grow on. Here we've got some epiphytes, or air plants, that are growing on the tree bark right here, you can see. But we've got some great textures and colors. And so I'm going to be thinking about that as well, along with the leaves, when I'm creating my little creature. Okay, there we go. So let's just dive in. I'm gonna have, and I want to think about how I might draw this creature. I want it to be small.
I got a long question here. Hi, Aaron. I have a question about art materials like pens, paints, etc. Particularly the more expensive ones and the cheaper ones. As a person with a smaller budget, would it be better to find cheaper art products and still make great art, such as the video you posted using coffee and crayons?
Yeah, I mean it's always been my belief that you can create great art with anything. Now, if you want art that's going to last, then yeah, it's always good to use good materials, always. So I'm always I always recommend that, but it's not always necessary. So work within your budget. You can do plenty of great art within your budget, always. I've got a little creature that's reaching down, maybe to pick something up.
Have you seen Frozen 2?
I have not seen Frozen 2.
I have not either. Kind of interested in seeing it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it could be interesting. I've got a lot of great friends that worked on it. So interesting little guy. I'm gonna shrink that up and put it up in the corner. What I'll do is I'll just do a lot of little scribbles and see what hits for me. And constantly trying different shapes and whatever. And I wonder if I'm here. See, there's another one over on this one that I think is interesting too, where this guy is. This one's in. It's got a nice dark background, and I could put him up here. Maybe not. No, I'm gonna stick with the one I've got. Stick with the one I got.
Stick with it.
Twitch question: What rest do you recommend for resolution do you recommend for canvas? I work at 300 dpi. I'm going to give him kind of a rough face. Drop his eyes down here. He's got these little barky growths that have come out on his face, so he blends in with the bark. But I figure if he's probably eating seeds and nuts and things like that. So he's going to have kind of a strong, maybe hard beak of a bill, of a mouth, and strong muscles on the head. So maybe, even though he's small, I want it to be cute. Hyperspace on YouTube says, "I love your art style. Keep up the good work." Thank you. I will.
What are your thoughts on Klaus?
Klaus is a masterpiece. I love Klaus.
Definitely a must watch.
So I'm going to let this hinge just come right up like that. So he's got like a little hinged jaw and bark and everything. It comes back here.
And some people are saying they're really excited for tomorrow.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm excited too. It's going to be fun. Give him a little segmented. What if we turn his body just a little bit? I like that little head. I like what I've got there. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have a lot of time to just develop this because I want to be able to get it done for you guys. But let's give him a little body. And I like, I'm imagining him or her, it, kind of blending in. I want to give a little crusty, barky textures, kind of blending in with the bark.
What time is tomorrow's creature design stream air in the UK?
Say that again.
What time does the live stream tomorrow air?
Well,
in the UK?
we go on at 11 a.m. Eastern time, so whatever the time difference is. I think the time difference is 6 hours in the UK, so it would be 5 o'clock p.m. Nick asks, "What do you think of the Mulan trailer?" I loved that Mulan trailer. I thought it was really cool.
Definitely gonna be interesting.
See, the funny thing is about little characters like this is that they're small enough. I can give him an exoskeleton if you want. I was having a discussion this morning with Vedanta, my girlfriend, and I was talking about creature design and some of the different types of support, and we've got interior skeletons and we've got exoskeletons, but there's a size limit to exoskeletons from a terrestrial standpoint, and the largest arthropod, land arthropod that has an exoskeleton is the coconut crab. They're huge and they're up to 9 pounds. And but once you start getting bigger than that, that exoskeleton becomes super, super heavy, and it's not very efficient.
What type of mythical creatures do you like the most?
You know what? I don't know. I really always loved Pegasus. The idea of a flying horse I've always thought was really cool.
Can you imagine real Pegasus?
Yeah. But the Pegasus designs that you see aren't viable, and that's one of the things I'm going to be talking about. You know, to have the musculature and the skeleton to fly a horse, and the weight is incredible. It's an incredible amount of muscle that you need. So I'm going to have these little fake ferns coming off of him. I've got another design going that's similar to this.
Okay, I gotta ask. Will you at all be giving us your take on Baby Yoda?
Everybody loves Baby Yoda. To be honest with you guys, and you guys are going to hate me for this, but the longer I watch Mandalorian, the less I like it. I'm starting to get annoyed with it. I want something to happen. And I feel like the dialogue is really kind of like, I'm getting tired of the dialogue a little bit. So I know I'm in the minority. I know everyone loves it, and I don't want to take that away from you. But I love Baby Yoda. I just think he's really cool.
How long would the stream be tomorrow? I'm trying to figure out if I can tune in as I have plans in the evening.
It's 6 hours.
6 hours long?
Yeah, so depending on where you are, plan accordingly.
Will you do live streams for the next 2 Fridays? I nearly missed today. Could you announce the live streams one day or so before? That would be awesome.
I do them every Friday, so there's nothing to announce. I do live streams every Friday.
Well, unless if you go
unless I'm on, yeah, unless, in which case we'll let you know if we're not going to do it. So here he's feeling a little robotish right now, so I'm going to maybe lose that hinge. Maybe smooth him out a little bit in here.
If I can't catch it live, can I watch it somewhere after?
Yes. If you buy a ticket, you'll be able to watch it afterwards. Twitch question. I had a question about your big charcoal paintings. Are they safe behind glass, or should you take extra care avoiding direct sunlight? You should take extra care about avoiding sunlight. You should do that all the time with any of your art. Okay, so I've got a head that I kind of like. Now, actually, I don't know if I like. I might just pull this all in. I've got something similar going.
Which Star Wars movie is your favorite?
Of the 3 originals, Empire Strikes Back is probably my most favorite. So I had something going there, but I want to try something different.
Enough is something completely different.
I'm trying to look at kind of the space that I've got. Oh, I got an idea. I'm looking at these ferns and the way they grow. I want this head to be nice and simple shaped. Like so. YouTube question. Hey Aaron, have a art exam on the way, and I'm using G acrylic. Any advice when using acrylic? When I use acrylic, I go from dark to light. So I start with my darkest areas personally, and I work towards the light. Where'd my fan go, man? It's hot in here. Let me turn my fan on.
Getting a little heated up, are you?
Getting a little heated up.
It's rather toasty.
Steve says, "You're wrong about the Mandalorian," and I quit. Yeah, I figured as much.
Screw you, man, I quit.
I know.
Can you imagine Nick's like, wait, Steven actually quit.
I'm going to go for sickly sweet here. Try to do something here.
What would it be like if you used the...
Little exoskeleton.
What would it be like if you used the ferns as like wings or something?
I've thought about that too. We could do, I was thinking about doing a little six-legged guy, but I'm trying to keep it a little humanoid. Just for now. Last day for, oh yeah, Twitch question. I had a question about your big charcoal painting. Oh, I got that one. Nick says, it's worth pointing out, oh sorry Nick. It's worth pointing out that you can only watch it afterward if you purchase a ticket for the event.
Right.
Yes. Which I did say that, right?
You did mention that.
Yeah.
Ellie Mae Tattersall says, I sent a PM to your Facebook. I'm really hoping you get to read it, Aaron.
I don't normally get a lot of, especially my business one. Nick will get them. So,
Nick, do the thing. Nick, Verge.
So I'm getting some little creatures here. I want to put them in a better pose now that I've got an idea for them. YouTube comment, idea for another course, how to really get down on sketching moving animals, what to look for, how to freeze frame, etc. I saw videos of yours at an animal farm just scratching the surface. That's a great idea. I like that idea a lot.
Come on guys, where are my questions over here? Oh, thanks, Nick. Heasel? Yeah, Heasel. Yeah. Thank you, Nick. He said, I followed your Instagram, Dustin. Great photos. Thank you.
So there's like a little bean thing right here, so I'm going to have him bending over to pick it up.
Picking up a bean?
Picking up a bean.
Bean a beanie. Beanie.
Which means I'm going to move this eye over here. Going for cute.
Look, I kind of want to see a headband on that left one. Reminds me of Rambo. Maybe a leafy headband. You guys are great, by the way. Thank you, Albert.
Trying just a couple of things. I keep it very, very loose when I'm at this stage.
Here's my question. So, with that big of a TV screen, did you have to move the couch to the other side of the house to avoid neck issues?
Yeah. Twitch comment, hi Aaron, I met you at Lightbox and I just wanted to know how delightful you were. Oh, thank you. You were genuinely kind and I was glad to purchase your art. Your drawing is, sorry I have to scroll down because I've got a small window, is hanging in my studio. That's awesome, thank you. YouTube question, so I have a question. I love to create my own creatures, but I have a horrible fear that when I'm designing one of my creatures, that I'll accidentally design a creature similar to someone else's. Well, just work on being original. I do the same thing, but you know what? You're gonna have your own style. You're gonna be okay. So don't sweat it. Don't sweat it, I say.
No sweating.
Yeah, he's bending down, and let me see. I'm just gonna throw this on here real quick. Whoops. Look at that. It's going to sit right there. Let me blow this up. See, he's picking up the little... So now I can see I got to lengthen those legs a little bit.
Have you tried drawing on the iPad with pencil before? If so, what do you think? What do you think of that? Do you think
I love it.
professional artists will transition to iPads instead of traditional tablets?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I do think it's very cool. I'm going to start working on this now. Now that I got something that I kind of like, I'm going to jump over. We're going to do this quickly. I'm going to put a little fill in between my drawing and the background. Drop back the opacity so I can see my drawing a little better. And now I can draw on my drawing.
Will you render the little creature photorealistic?
Yes, that's the goal today.
Yeah.
So right now I'm looking. I want to change things around just a little bit. I'm going to change his legs. Have him coming down like so. His little legs. There we go. So I'm going to make him somewhat humanoid, like he'd be an elf and a little character. There's that hand in the background. That's going to end up being blurred out. Now what I want to do is I want to get some, and then here, I'll get that other foot in here. There. So he's bending over. Let me flop it. I always like to flop it around just to see if it's... Yeah, see, I don't like that hand there. I'm going to give it a little bit more.
Fun fact, I was watching a YouTube clip about Guillermo del Toro. I have a hard time pronouncing that name.
Yeah.
I just say Del Toro. Anyways, and he was talking about Glen Keane for good creature designs.
Yes.
What do you think of that?
I think that's absolutely true. Glen Keane was my mentor. Glen Keane taught me animation and a lot of design.
And he was the one that designed the Beast, right?
Correct. There we go. I just wanted a little bit more, a better silhouette with his arm kind of coming out. Just like so. Because that's going to end up blurring out because of our depth of field is so shallow.
And actually, mind if I mention about that real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the so all these up close shots, the reason why they're so blurry, is because the camera that I used and the lens that I used, the lens itself was a 50 millimeter f1.8 aperture, so it's a very high aperture, so I can get that real nice shallow depth of field. The higher the aperture, the better. and I shot it with the Sony A6400, which I have right here. This is the actual camera and lens that I used for these shots. So, fun little fact.
There we go. YouTube comment. She's got the Iron Man pose.
Superhero landing. What do you prefer? Family Guy or Rick and Morty?
I don't know. That's a good one. Rick and Morty's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But I love Family Guy, too. YouTube question. Is there an Art of Aaron Blaise art book? No. We keep getting that question a lot, and we are working on it. Trust me. It's just one of the 6,000 things we have on our plate to try to get done.
How often do you meet Glenn Keane? And could you ask him to do a course for your site? I think everyone would buy that course.
Yeah, they definitely would. I just haven't. No, I don't see him very often because he's in California, and actually, I think he's in Vancouver now, making his movie Over the Moon, and so we just don't get to see each other. We come very close to seeing each other every year, and then we never get a chance. So soon. All right, so I've got a little sketch here that I like. I'm liking this little sketch, and I'm gonna have little pieces of fern growing off. One of the things I like about these ferns is how they curl up into a ball. Actually, that's what I wanted to do, is right there. There. Just have them kind of growing off of them this way. YouTube question. No. YouTube question. What's your favorite brand of charcoal? I asked for some for Christmas, but not really sure what I need. I can't remember the name of it. Hold on. I got it right here. Well, first of all, there's a couple of different things. Go to the camera, Dustin. I really love, it's Brandvilliers Cretacolor. This is charcoal dust. I use this a lot. And I use that for rubbing onto the paper and then pulling, using with paper towels and creating tone and erasing away. It's very handy. And then this is Master's Touch charcoal that I use. Regular thin vine charcoal, and that works really well. You really can't go wrong with charcoal. And then I use General. What is it? I use these a lot. General's charcoal pencils for getting the detail. General's charcoal pencils. Those are really awesome to get all the darks and details that I need. Kendra Williford says, you should know that people take turns each year buying the premium membership for me for Christmas. Best gift ever. I love it.
You know, another great way of getting charcoal is just being naughty all year, and so Santa just gives you coal.
That's true. That was good, Dustin. So here I'm adding like little spikies on his head. The idea being that he blends in. Yeah, he blends.
Oh yeah, you gotta blend.
Name that movie. Yeah, you blend.
Like Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, I know you do.
I didn't know there was different brands of charcoal. I thought it was literally burnt wood.
It is, but there's literally how many different brands of water?
Smart water.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flop this back. And so, yeah, we got a nice little design that I like here. And let's go ahead and knock this back. I'm going to up the opacity on that, on the, there we go, knock this back a little bit more. Now I want to refine it. And this is where I want to get into some of my details. And actually, I'm going to use the hard round. This is just a regular brush, one of the standard brushes from Photoshop.
Did you already answer those questions that Nick has?
No, I'm going back and forth. YouTube question: how does this live stream compare to your design work at Disney's? Is it similar, faster, slower, more relaxed, or not? What are the differences, if any? Well, at Disney, I always had a lot more time to. Here, I try to get something done for you guys in one session. When I was at Disney, I had a lot more time to perfect and get it right. And this, what I would do once I got maybe a handful of designs at Disney, I would do several little renders like this that we're going to do today. And they were always fun because I was able to put the character into a little environment.
What causes gouache paint to crack? It has happened to me a few times when I'm finished with a painting and all of a sudden it starts cracking. Any ideas?
If you put it on too thick and it dries too fast.
Is it a combination of both things together, or if it's like one or the other? Like if it's too thick, or if it's.
What was the question again?
If the like what causes gouache paint to crack?
Yeah, gouache. If you're going on really thick with it, then it's gonna crack.
Why does the photo have a filter? I think it's because of.
Oh, I mean, why is it gray right now?
Yeah, grayed out.
So I can see. My drawing. If I take the filter off, see, I can't see my drawing. So once I get the drawing done, then I'm going to come back in. I'm going to do this very quickly. Then I'm going to come back in and I'll get rid of the filter, and then we'll start with color.
What is your art software? You're currently using Adobe Photoshop.
Yep, currently I'm using Adobe Photoshop on a Wacom Cintiq, and that's it. That's my software.
And what is the current version of this? Is the latest version?
Yeah, whatever the latest version is. Yeah. Okay, so I want his little arms to have all these little growths that come out that look like ferns. Like fern petals, like so. I'm looking at maybe like segmenting his arm like a little insect. There we go. Give him little hands there. Okay.
I want to take my graphical art further. What kind of outlets is there for using graphical art besides game design? I adore creature creation, but I'm not sure how to use it to my advantage.
Say that again. I want to make sure I get this question right.
I want to take my graphical art further.
Graphical?
Graphic art.
Okay.
What kind of outlets are there for using graphic art besides game design? I adore creature creation, but I'm just not sure how to use it to my advantage.
Well, I'm not quite sure what you're saying when you say graphic art, because all art is graphic art. I mean, there's logo design, there's illustration, but it's all graphic. You're creating graphics. You're creating images. That's what graphics are. So I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but you can do whatever you want to do. I mean, the art world is a huge world, and so I'm sorry I don't understand the question well enough, but I really think you can do. You just have to decide what it is you want to do. You can do anything. Got these little appendages coming out. Twitch comment, Dustin, you gave me some info about the Sony cameras and I'm sold. I'm going to get my new setup sometime this month. Thank you for the YouTube links and for your insights.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw that I saw your thank you note on one of my posts on Instagram, and thank you very much for that. And I'm really glad that you're getting all your stuff together. I'm really looking forward to see what you make out of it.
No, you're not.
Yeah, you're right.
Of course he is. He totally is.
Yeah, when you get your photos together and everything, once you get started, let me know and I'll take a peek. Where do you buy your animation paper?
I haven't bought animation paper in a couple of years. I'm trying to remember. You know what? I don't have the name off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I haven't animated on paper in so long. I don't go through very much of it, and so it's been years since I've had to buy any paper, because I do everything on TV Paint.
Hi, Dustin and Aaron. I realize you're using TV Paint, but I'm curious to know if you've ever used Flash and if it's still being used in the industry.
I don't know how much Flash is being used in the industry. I think it is still being used, but I don't know how much. Nick might know more about that than me. But I've never used Flash. I only use TV Paint from a digital standpoint. And also, I want to remind you that this is our last day for our, we've been doing our Black Friday and Cyber Monday. We've just turned it into Cyber Week. So we've just turned it into Cyber Week, and so our big sale from Black Friday is still going on. Everything is 40% off, and then you can also get $75 off of our membership. Which, if you get a membership, you get everything on the site. So that's a huge savings.
We young writers tend to have a hard time getting rid of ideas that they love, even when it's been obvious for quite some time that it's not working. Was it your case when you worked as a director for the first time?
You know what? Maybe a little bit at first, but I actually have the opposite problem. I'll change things so many times because I'm interested in different solutions, and sometimes I'll change it too much. And I know, because there's certain tentpole ideas that I might become married to within a story structure that I'm creating. But, there we go. But usually, by and large, if I can see, and I feel like I'm pretty good at seeing the big picture. That's something I've always worked hard at. If I can see that it's working better for the big picture, that I really don't have a hard time letting it go. As long as to me, it's all about supporting the core idea of the story. But I do have to admit, there are times when there's a certain something that you've gotten, you've fallen in love with, and it's hard to let it go.
What future courses are you planning to release on Creature Art Teacher?
Well, this is one where we're designing hidden creatures of the forest. Imagine, and that's going to be volume 1, because we're going to do different types of environments. So we'll do the desert, and we'll do you know, the ocean and all kinds of stuff. So right now we're doing the forest, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And we got some more animal courses that we're planning. Birds of Prey is one. There have been a lot of requests for acrylic painting courses, gouache painting course. I'm going to be doing that. So we've got a lot of stuff we have coming up. Just got to get to it. And we're really cutting back on our travel this year. This is something that Nick and I have had some long speaks about. And so we want to try to do more stuff here in Florida, not just, you know, staying in the studio and creating more content, but we want to create more workshops for you guys, and you guys can come to us. And matter of fact, we're doing a workshop, a plein air painting workshop in Sarasota, Florida, at the end of the first week in March. So around March 6th, I believe it is, we're going to be doing another plein air painting course. We don't have the particulars exactly yet, but we do know we're going to be painting at the Ringley Museum, Selby Gardens, South Lido Island, some really cool places. Now, Ronnie Williford will be teaching that with me, and it's going to be great. We're really excited about that. So we want to do more stuff like that.
Can you apply traditional techniques like dry brush and wet on wet techniques to digital painting?
Yeah, you just need to create the brush for it. And I've got the brush. I've got brushes that do that. I've got wet media brushes. I've got dry brushes. Those are all at creatureartteacher.com. And those brush packs, I know I sound like a salesman, but I'll just tell you, those brush packs are on sale right now too. So those are 40% off.
Hey Dustin, you inspired me to get back into photography. It's been a while for me.
It's been a while.
It's been a while since I've taken photos with my big old lens. I can't wait for a birds course. I love birds so much. Currently doing an ornithology course.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an ornithologist, among other things. I almost went into forestry. I wanted to be an ornithologist. And I just happened to fall into animation. Fell right into it. Bonk. All right, we're almost there with the sketch.
And how's Ronnie holding up?
Ronnie's doing great. He's at home today, working on his next course. He's putting together a really great course on the foundations of drawing. He just finished up the animated introduction to it, and it looks awesome. He animated the whole beginning. It looks really cool.
Sweet.
Question: what solvents do you recommend using for oil painting? I just use turpenoid or mineral spirits. I probably should use more, but I really don't use any special mediums or anything like that. I paint pretty thick and direct, and so you'll see, especially if you get my oil painting course, I keep it really simple.
This fern guy is so cute.
Yeah, it's fun.
His name is Fernie.
Fernie.
Probably going to be a silly question, but I'm going to ask anyways. How would you be able to draw an anthropomorphic dog, such as a Corgi, which is known for having small legs to stand upright? I've studied the anatomy and everything, but nothing seems to be gelling. I'm trying to draw these Corgi characters for an unfinished art piece. Thank you.
Well, let's see. Corgis look like a loaf of bread with legs, right? If I did a Corgi, can't remember what a Corgi's head looks like, but I think they have pointed ears, right?
Yes, they are adorable. Oh. They're not really pointy. They're rounded on the here. There. 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 There.
Oh yeah. So if we did that, have him looking up.
I love Corgi so much. They're so cute. If I ever get a Corgi, I'm going to name him Ein.
You're gonna name him what?
Ein, like Einstein.
Oh. Let's see. Right here. You just want to give him a long body, obviously. You gotta have little. Little arms. Having a little cup of tea. I don't know. I would, really work on keeping that long body, that long, thick body, and just remember your anatomy. They walk on, they walk on their toes basically. The dog does, but you can have them coming down like that. You give them little shorter arms. That's what I would do. All right, so we're almost done with this guy. Let me finish this up.
Silly question, Dustin, but does Aaron have like a news bulletin of sorts for upcoming courses?
We do have a newsletter that we put out, and we have, if you get on our email list, go to creatureartteacher.com and hop on our email list, and you'll never miss any information.
And plus, even then, like we do usually announce everything that's going on each week on every Friday.
Yeah. Carl asked, did you ever work with Tim Burton? I never did work with Tim Burton. No.
Did you ever meet Tim Burton?
I've been in the same room as Tim Burton. That's as close as I got to meeting with him. But no, I've never met him. Flash is now called Adobe Animate, and it's still widely used in TV production. Okay, so that goes way back to our Flash question. Sorry,
Right.
I'm drawing and I'm not getting all the questions right away.
Go way back.
So here I'm trying to keep a lot of complexity on the back, and then keeping the front part where we want the attention, keeping it fairly simple. So here we go. YouTube. Do you plan on doing any animation live streams similar to your vultures in the near future? Yes, I do. So there's that.
I'd love to see a course on creating environments or how you render your drawings traditionally, not with photos.
Well, I'm doing it traditionally. Okay, well,
Yeah.
we can do that. I love using the photos and seeing what we can get. You're gonna see this is gonna be some cool stuff. Oh. Question. I'm a wildlife artist working in pencil and charcoal as my main medium. Do you have any recommendations on how best to get into color? Intimidated at the moment. Thank you. Just dive in. Really look at your favorite. One of the things I do is I look at my favorite artists, and try to emulate what they're doing. Look at the mediums that they're using, and see what it is that, try to break it down and look at what it is that they're doing that might interest you. And that's where I start. And then also, you got to really kind of brush up on color theory and all of that, but just dive in. That's my biggest recommendation. So the first thing I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to lay down a base green, and I've grabbed one of the neutral greens over on the left side of the image here, and I'm just going to color him in, and then I'm going to go in and vary up the color. But what I'm creating right now is a local color. That's the color of an object when it's not in shadow and it's not in direct light. It's just the color of an object. So I just want to color him in using the drawing that I just did as my guide. And then I'll go in and start adding light and dark after I add some variations of color. This is where we're going to first get him to kind of sit in the composition.
are some good softwares for starting in animation?
TV Paint is my favorite software for starting an animation.
And just animation in general.
Yeah, TV Paint. And then if you're looking for tutorials, not to toot my own horn, but we've got a really great course on animation on our website, creatureartteacher.com. It was actually voted #1 online animation course.
Nice.
So we're very happy about that. So I'm going to blow this up a little bit more so you can see it a little better.
I'm animating a fight scene on TV Paint, but I don't know how to do the background out of focus. Do you do that on TV Paint or later in editing?
You can import a background that is. There should be filters. I'm trying to remember where they are. There should be filters to knock stuff out of focus in TV Paint. Matter of fact, I know there are. Check your filters. Otherwise, you can import a background that's already knocked out of focus. There's a few different ways you can do it. So anyway, there's that. Also, once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Sorry, but just to repeat, this is our last day for our 40% off cyber sale. We've been doing our Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale all week, and so Friday today is our last day, and then we're moving on. Then we're actually going to be doing 12 Days of Christmas coming up as well. We're gonna have some fun stuff. We got some surprises, some surprise items coming up. Well, actually, I want to tell you about the one set of items because I think it's really cool. I think you guys will really dig this. Because as you know, I go all over the world to gather my reference for all of my animal drawings. I refuse to draw animals that I haven't seen in the wild. It's just part of the thing that I like to do. Other than polar bears. I haven't seen any polar bears in the wild. But and so I have spent years building up my my reference library. And I have literally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of photos that I've taken from around the world of different animals and environments and that sort of thing. So Nick and I and Dustin have been talking, and we've decided to start going through all of my reference materials and pulling packets that we are going to start selling online for a very cheap amount, but packets of some of my best lion photos, packets of some of my best leopard photos, best bear photos, best wolf photos, best cougar photos, all of that stuff. And we're going to be providing those and making them available so you can have the same reference I use for my paintings. We're going to have them available on our website at creatureartteacher.com, and that's going to be coming up as part of our 12 Days of Christmas surprise sales coming up this in the next couple of weeks. So I'm really excited about that. So here's our little guy kind of standing there. Now you can start to see how he fits into the environment. Mike on YouTube says FX window and TV Paint will have blur filters to defocus your BG and anything else. So that's cool. The FX window in TV Paint will have blur filters. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. How long does it usually take you to do a piece of artwork from start to fully rendered?
It depends on what I'm creating. It might take, depending on what I consider fully rendered. Now here I'm going for photoreal, and this might, and I'm not going to do the whole thing here because it's going to take too long, but it might take me 4 or 5 hours, but something else might take me an hour. So it just depends on what it is I'm trying to do. But I really don't like to spend any more than 6 to 7 hours on any single piece. I get bored with it. Unless I'm doing like a big oil painting, in which case I spend more time. So you can see by putting him, I'm going to darken it a little bit.
How would you design the perfect big cat?
I think every big cat is already perfect.
Oh.
Probably the most perfect big cat were the saber-toothed cats. Although I think maybe their sabers got in the way. But it really starts with anatomical knowledge. You got to get in there and understand the anatomy of big cats before you can design your own cat, right? So that's what it takes. It's a little easier going this way. You know, anytime you can get fun repeating shapes like these ferns, it adds a lot to the drawing, I think, to the imagery. And for those of you wondering how I'm turning the canvas like this, if you just hit R, you can rotate it in Photoshop.
Do you prefer bears or cats?
I like them both. I know it's a cop-out answer, but I like them both.
But which do you like more?
I don't know. I love them. I'm finding myself drawing big cats more often right now, but I really love bears too. Obviously.
Well, it's over which one you draw the most of, so big cats wins.
Yeah, but there was a time that all I was drawing with bears for like 6 years. That's a long.
Because you go to Alaska every year.
Well, no, Brother Bear took me 6 years to make. Remember that movie, Dustin? Remember that movie, Brother Bear?
I remember that movie. I remember it more than you do.
Probably do. All right, so now I've got some color in here. I've got his silhouette done, and he's reaching for that little berry nut thing on the ground. Let's see. I'm going to flop it around. Oh, I didn't do everything. See, when you flop something, you can see things better. I completely forgot these ferns in the background.
What the hell?
What the hell? Well, I have access. YouTube question. Well, I have access to the Creature Design Workshop whenever I want if I buy the access. Yes. Yes, you will.
For the latecomers out there, have you seen Frozen 2 yet?
No. I have not. I plan on seeing it at some point in my life.
Not today.
Klaus is my new favorite movie right now. My new favorite animated film. Hey Aaron, have you used Copics or any other Copic type materials? Yes. I've only used the grays, like when I do my ink drawings and things like that. But I have used them. Not really any color though. So now we've got something I'm liking here. Now what I want to do is I want to start grabbing some of the color around. I'm going to lock this layer, and I want to grab some of the color, some of these other greens, like this mossy green right here. Let me blow this up a little more. There's a nice bright mossy green right there. When I want to give him maybe go into his face a little bit. I'm going to knock the opacity way back. Maybe just go around his eyes and add a little bit of variation. I want to tighten up the spacing on the brush too. There we go.
Do you have any recommendations for animation internships for college students?
I don't. I don't know who's providing internships right now. I wish I did. I'm sorry, but I don't. So I'm just going to give him a little bit of a brighter face right here. Maybe something on his arm. This is just local color. I'm not adding light yet. I'm not adding any light and shadow yet. Twitch question: how long did it take you to get comfortable with drawing digitally? Once I switched over to a Cintiq, it wasn't hard at all. I got pretty used to it pretty fast. Because working on a Cintiq to me is very similar to just working traditionally.
What is both your favorite and least favorite art direction on an animated movie, like the look and style of the film?
Well, right now my favorite is Klaus. The art direction on that film is genius. Genius.
Genius. You have a least
It
favorite?
really is. Yeah, I don't like the badmouth other movies. Except Mandalorian. I don't really have a least favorite. I mean, I think there's a lot of animated films out there that kind of were cheaply made and not, kind of quick.
Like most Disney sequels?
Yeah, like most Disney sequels.
You should make a bear version of this, a moss-furred bear.
Yes.
Yeesh.
Twitch question: as someone that draws a lot, do you have any tips on arm shoulder health and maintaining it? Well, I draw from the shoulder. I actually sit, pretty straight up and down. You can see. Can you go to the camera? So you can see that I sit pretty straight up and down, and so. But I don't draw like this. I draw this way. I draw from the shoulder. So I really don't have a lot of. I don't have a lot of issues when it comes to. Shoulder pain or anything like that. So here I'm painting his body in a little bit more of a neutral, kind of a gray color.
Depression.
Gray.
Getting a little bit up in here. So I want him to blend in with his BG. You know what his BG is? His background, Dustin. His background.
Oh, trust me, I know what BG stands for.
You know BG. The Bee Gees.
I've heard that term like at least 30 times a day, 5 days a week. Mostly 80 hours a week.
I'm going to give him little baby Yoda eyes.
For about 4-5 years.
Yeah.
Working at Stereo D, because instead of using the word background, it was always using the word BG.
BG.
Can you fix that BG? Hey, that BG's looking a little flat. Hey, can you add some more space to that BG? And you know what we call foreground?
What's that?
Foreground.
I know, exactly. Wanted to say
Like FG. It's like,
you say FG? No.
no, just say foreground. Then why do you say BG for background? It's just easier. Then wouldn't FG be easier too? No. Film logic.
So I'm just putting in some variation of color, trying to match. I'm actually grabbing color from other places and from around the composition and adding them in. So this is kind of fun. So here, let's see how dark that is. That's fairly dark. I'm going to turn this underlayer off. So now I've got more of a accurate look of his local color. We're just going to start with that, and then we can go in and start adding some other things. Yeah, Nick says basically not hunching over is key. That's right. So I'm going to add a shadow layer. I'm going to put a layer on top. I'm going to set it to multiply. And I'm basically going to go keep it in the green area, maybe a little cooler green. And drop it a little higher than halfway in the... in his... on the spectrum there.
Have you done stop motion animation?
No, I never have. Now, one thing I'm doing here, sorry Dustin, I'm just gonna, you gotta remember that he is he's in shadow already. So really, the light and shadow that he's gonna be having is deeper shadow and bounced light. So that's what I gotta think about as I'm creating this. I want him to sit in the environment the right way.
Whose request is this drawing for?
There was no request. This is my request. My request.
Is man. Have you ever made commissions for people?
I've done many, many, many commissions, just I don't do them anymore.
Yeah, because you end up getting questions like, how big of an oil painting can you make for me if I give you $30?
Wow, I'm a long way from the $30. To be honest with you.
That's where you just give them a paintbrush with a wet oil, with oil paint on the tip. Just there you go. That's $30 worth right there.
All right. So I'm trying to get him nice and dark to read against this background. And then we're going to start going in and working out some of the bounced light, some of the deeper shadows in here. I'm still keeping it loose, breaking up areas.
Did anyone watch the new oil painting course by Aaron yet? There's a scene where Aaron says, "I think I need a break. Don't forget to eat, guys. Look at me. I never forget to eat." I laughed so hard.
I don't.
Yeah, I kind of kept that part in there. I thought it was too funny to let go. I never forget to eat. I mean, look at me.
So I'm hitting all the little shadow areas. We're going to get him to sit in here really nice. The fun part is when we come in and we start pushing some of the blur.
How do I keep dark colors dark with a light source hitting them? Digitally painting a crab, it's pale colors underneath, the dark purple on top.
All right, say that again. You lost
So
me.
the question itself is, how do I keep the dark colors dark with the light source hitting them?
Don't paint over them light. I'm not sure I understand the question. Just I know if you're struggling, you think you have to sometimes you have to consciously go in and say, okay, I'm not going to do this or I'm not going to do that, because you'll get carried away sometimes. We all do. And so if you know you have to keep an area dark, like you're saying, then make sure you do that. I mean, I know it's kind of a cop-out answer, but just do it. Just do it!
Have you ever met some of Jim Henson puppeteers like Wendy and Brian Froud? who worked on Dark Crystal, Muppet Movie, Labyrinth, etc., etc.?
No, I did meet somebody. I'm trying to remember his name right now. Keith. Got it. Trying to remember his last name. He's over there now. But I don't know many of them. No.
Someone making a commission joke. Can you make a painting to fit on the wall behind my couch?
Yeah, and I haven't matched my haven't matched the fabric on the couch. I've gotten that many times.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
I just want a painting that's modern, very minimal lines, just put some paint splotches everywhere and call it good. Can you do that?
I can call it good. Okay, so I'm just going in and darkening up some of these areas. And then we're going to go in with highlights. But he's basically in shadow. And so I want to make sure I'm getting that clearly enough.
Would you ever do illustrations for a campaign to save the rainforest?
Of course I would. That's a very specific question.
I mean, you've done work like made drawings for other stuff like endangered species and all that jazz.
Yeah, all that jazz.
All that jazz.
Yeah, all that.
And all that jazz.
All that weird stuff. Remember, there's only a few spots for tomorrow's live stream on creature design. So if you're interested, come on over and go to creatureartteacher.com/live and you can get a ticket for tomorrow. It's going to be a blast. I swear to you.
It's going to be a blast.
All right, so now I want to get in here, and I'm going to grab, actually I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a layer on, whoops, cancel. I'm going to, what am I doing? Creating a layer on top, setting that to overlay. I'm going to grab this color here, go maybe a little brighter. And I'm going to hit some of these areas just a little bit to get them to sit in here a little bit better.
I was watching an online art teacher the other day.
That's awesome.
And he was maintaining that you must paint with your elbow and not your wrist. You seem to use your wrist. Have you had problems?
No. I broke my wrist. You can see there the scar on my wrist right here. I broke it and I had to have a pin put in it. But I go back and forth between, I don't use my wrist a lot. I use my arm, my shoulder.
Yeah.
My shoulder.
Man, my arm. Not a finger.
Not a finger.
Not a finger.
So I want to put some markings on him too. There we go. It's a little bright in there. I'm going to pull that back just a hair. So we're slowly getting there. We're getting our little guy to sit in our little foresty realm. I want to go back. I'm going to go back to our overlay or our multiply. And I want to get some of these eyes a little bit more in shadow.
In shadow.
Yes, yes, in shadow, I say.
Shadow.
Kevin on YouTube says, yeah! New member subscription. Excited times ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Rock on. Alright. So I'm going to get these to kind of slowly fade out. Now let's jump back to our over top of the layer and come up here.
What was your favorite Disney character to animate?
Beast.
Dude,
My
like
favorite
this.
character to animate was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. It was awesome. By far one of my favorite experiences in the world of animation.
In the entire world?
Of animation.
Nice.
So here I'm lightening them up, trying to get some, showing different planes on the little plants growing off of his little body. And show them from, by hitting lighter areas and darker areas, you're getting these leaves to kind of curve and turn in space. And notice too that I'm still keeping it loose, because I'm going to go in a little bit with the opaque colors and really start to define it more. There. YouTube question: how do you paint fluff? I'm painting a snow here digitally. Well, it depends on. It really depends on the how detailed you're going to get. So, if you want to bring this back a little bit, if you're going to show every hair, then you got to create a hairbrush. If you want to just let it kind of fuzz out and use some smudging techniques, you can do that. There's a ton of different ways you can do it. So it's hard to say exactly. I'm going to jump back over to here. Sorry. So now I want to get into kind of defining some of the reflected light, bounced light, that sort of thing, which is really going to set him in. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to grab some of this brighter color in the background. And you can see we got some yellows and bright greens and all that. And I want to start applying it to areas that are going to be reflecting that off of his skin. I'm going to knock this back a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
Like so. If I can show, there we go. If I can show some of that light kind of being refracted, then it starts to have him sit within that environment. Because you're seeing the same colors kind of bounce up off of him.
Oh, Gabby just got on. Good
Hey,
morning.
Gabby.
She says good morning.
So you see I can hit some reflected light right there off of his face. And I want to make sure that I stay consistent. There, so I can get a little bit more detailed. And I'm working on top of the line work now. There.
How do you blend colors in a digital painting?
Well, you're seeing me do it now. I work color on top of color. And so now you're just going to see me kind of start to grab certain colors. I'm just grabbing background colors and using them to kind of define some of these edges on this guy. And it's going to have him sit. It's going to sit him right into the environment.
Why did Disney shelf King of the Elves?
I know, well, when I was there, I was having some problems, some personal problems, and so I was having a hard time with the movie. And so that's why I left. And then I guess the people that took it over just, they were having a hard time cracking that nut. Sometimes it's a hard nut to crack. Sometimes it's just a hard nut to crack. So here I'm going to go in and go just a little darker in areas.
If there was one Disney animated classic that you wished you could have worked on but didn't, which would it be?
Bambi.
Bambi. Right off the bat.
Yep. Without a doubt, Bambi. So I'm going in with some deep color.
How many different layers do you have on currently?
I have 5 layers right now. Not very many. So I'm going to stop talking for just a second because I want to try to get some of these in here. There. Just want to get a little more defined. That's not right. Let me do that again. There we go. Ray on YouTube says, I've recently started digital painting and I'm learning so much that I can also use now in real painting. That's absolutely true. My digital painting has always affected my approach to real painting. Or I shouldn't say real painting. Traditional painting. Let me put it that way. That was a bad faux pas on my part. Digital painting is real painting, just using light instead. Oops. So I'm starting to get a little bit of form happening, popping out, and I'm liking it. I want to grab some of these colors here and hit them on top of our little guy right here.
Do you know if a Croods 2 movie will ever be made?
I don't know. That was a Chris Sanders movie, who's a genius, and I don't know if that'll happen or not. Let me get some of
Croods
these.
is all the Cave family, right?
Yeah, Nick Cage.
Oh yeah.
I'm just adding some definition in here to get him to sit a little better.
What did you think of Andy Serkis's 2018 Mowgli?
Well, I actually worked on it. I did some early designs. Excuse me, got a little piece of skin on my mouth. I did some early designs of the animals, but I was trying to push for them to go in a little bit more of a realistic direction on the animals, and And I really liked working with Andy Serkis. He was a great guy, but we didn't really agree on the direction for the animals. And I tried to give him what he wanted, but ultimately we just decided to part ways. And I think they, I love the story, and I think they did a great movie. I just had a different opinion on how the animals should have been done. And so it was cool. It was cool. We parted ways.
It's pretty cool. Yeah,
It was cool. It's cool.
It's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
So right now I'm just really kind of getting in and really kind of defining the look of this character. Getting the light details in here as best I can. One thing I want to do is I want to get a little bit of the background that we see. Maybe it's in here, and I want to get that reflected in the eye.
Do you offer one-on-one drawing lessons online or in person?
No, I don't. I have drawing lessons online, yes, but not in person. There we go. So we're getting a little bit of. I think I've gone a little bright on that. I'm just going to just pull that back a little bit, and then now I'll hit it a little bit brighter. Maybe a little bit of color down here. Eyes right there. There we go. Just little bits of reflection. You're always thinking about, those eyes as a mirror. Nick asks, why is there no blue in the forest? Where's the blue food? I don't know.
Will you do more portfolio reviews in the future for Patreons? Maybe with voice chat too?
I'm not sure if we're going to be doing that now that we've kind of grown. We might be past the portfolio review, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. It's just that it gets really difficult to hit everybody. And to be honest with you, it's really exhausting on my part to take the time. And I love doing it. It's just I've got a lot of other projects that require so much more time. And so it's a little difficult for me. So I got his eyes going here that I kind of like. I like what's happening. Got him nice and wet feeling.
Nice and wet.
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 There. And we'll add little bits of texture here. Little parts that are picking up light.
Have you ever seen the autism documentary Life Animated?
No, I've been wanting to see it. I haven't, but I will.
You know what it's all about, right?
Yes. Shooting Starlight on YouTube asks, how do you manage reflected light on a surface that isn't smooth, like fur? We got to remember each piece of fur is reflecting the light, but it breaks up the overall pattern, so you got to make sure that you don't go too bright on it. That's the key. here. Oh, nice one, dog. Oh, he's hacking on a bone. That's my dog. Wow, come on, man.
God.
You all right? And he just left. That's
Got it.
That's Achilles.
Does the little critter have a name? Fernie.
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 So I'm just going in and just hitting some of these little areas, and we're continuing to render. One thing I like to do, I want to show you a little technique. Actually, before I do that, I want to come up here and hit a couple of these little areas, define some of these lines a little better. I might be catching light.
Did you know that the song from Brother Bear, I think it's called "Welcome to Our Family Time"? It was basically the family song from during the salmon run. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you know that was used for the Disneyland 50th anniversary parade?
I didn't.
It's such a cute parade. There's no Brother Bear float, but that song is the main theme, and that was the one I got to see when I went to Disneyland.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I actually saw that same parade too, because I think that was going on when my show choir and I went to Disneyland at one time for the summer.
Oh yeah.
And we saw the parade, and that song was playing. I'm like, oh my God, it's Brother Bear!
I know him.
I know him.
So here's our little creature. He's coming along. It's not too bad. I want to get him a little darker. I'm going to put another layer, multiply, and I'm going to get him a little bit darker. I'm going to use a cooler color this time. And I'm going to come back here and just knock this back. There's a couple of areas I just want better silhouette.
Hey Aaron.
Hi.
I recently saw the CG version of The Lion King, and I was pretty disappointed with the movie overall. It seemed a lot of the important scenes felt rushed, and the rework of jokes to be less campy fell flat. Do you think that them going for realism hindered the movie?
I thought it was a beautiful film, but I do think that they lost a lot of emotion by taking out what we read as emotion out of the animals' faces. So yes, I do think that it hurt it a little bit in that case. All right, so I'm going to get in here and start to finish this up a little bit. There's a couple of things I want to do here that I was talking about earlier. First of all, I want to find the drawing layer. Where's my drawing layer? There it is. So if I get rid of the drawing layer, you can see he kind of sits in there okay, which I kind of like. And what I would normally do is turn that drawing layer, turn that drawing layer off, and then I would go in and start to define it a little bit more. You can see here. But already it doesn't look too bad. It works well as a concept sketch. Let me turn it around. He fits in that world nicely. That's one of the things I like. Let me come up here. Whoops. There we go.
When designing a character, at what point do you start to think about the skin texture, the hair, softness and rigidness, etc.? Like when you start looking into the details.
As you start getting those, you want to start with the big shapes first. And so as the big shapes come together, then you start going towards the detail. And that's part of the detail. Start broad and work towards the detail. Always. Trust the force. Always. Okay, so I got to put the lines back in. So there's a couple things I want to do. One is I want to add some. I'm going to set it to multiply. I want to add some designs, some little markings on them. Those always are fun. I'm going to start with orange, but I'm setting it to multiply.
Do you find yourself constantly cleaning arm and fingerprints from the Wacom screen?
No, I wash my hands before I start. So I do wash it every once in a while, but maybe once a month.
A month.
Could you please define the nut that has to be cracked in doing a good story or good characters? You know, that's a good question. It's hard to define, you know, analytically. It's just it's a feeling. You know, there's a certain point you get in the story where you know now it's starting to come together, things are starting to add up, it's all making sense, the character is appealing. It's that sort of thing, and so it's hard to say specifically, you know, it's this or it's that. It's just yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's a hard question to answer.
What mythical creature do you wish was real?
That's a good one. What mythical creature do I wish was real? Let's see here. Oh, once again, I like that. I love Pegasus. So you're giving him little markings that just, you know, maybe you'd find on an insect or something. And I always love doing these markings because they also help show off the form. And you'll see a lot of my drawings have these little stripes in them. But I'm also looking at real life. I'm looking at insects that have these markings and whatnot.
Whatnot? I wish dragons were real, to be honest.
Oh yeah, dragons.
Dragons would be cool, but maybe the more chillax, like intelligent dragons, and not the ones that try to kill everything all over the world, like Ring of Fire. You know, maybe Smog's chilled out cousin or something.
Yes. Twitch question: are the opacity levels at 100% on each layer? Yes, they are. So you can see by adding these little bits of detail, it just adds a nice little. It adds form, and like I said, just nice little bits of detail. Adding these little markings, and it's kind of in line with the fern shapes. You know, you've got all these ferns that have this repeating pattern of leaves. We're kind of doing the same thing with the face and the arms, creating these repeating patterns. And what I'm going to do in a second too, we're going to start playing with that field of depth of field. There. Any tips on how to understand clothes and physics? Yeah, the best thing you can do is just go out and observe it. Just get out and observe it. That's the best thing you can do. So I'm starting to get to a stage right now. Actually I want to define a few of these edges a little bit better. So I'm gonna, whoops, I lost my. So I just wanted to find a few of these edges, just a little bit more, maybe hit some of the reflected light a little brighter. Just a touch. There.
There we go.
There we go. YouTube question: how in the heck are you talking, painting, and replying to YouTube comments? What wizardry is this? Are you amazed? I did this a lot at Disney.
You're a wizard.
Yeah.
Have you watched?
It's not easy.
Have you watched any of the David Attenborough's documentaries?
Oh, I've watched probably almost all of them. He's one of my favorite men. Cool. The man is unbelievably incredible.
David Attenborough's the narrator for like Planet Earth and all
Yes.
that. Okay.
Yes, he is.
This is a polar bear.
That's perfect, Dustin. Very good.
Do you keep your line work
Hey,
layer
Vedanta.
Hi.
Vedanta's here.
Cleaning. I'm just cleaning.
She's cleaning. Hey, Cinderella. What'd you say, Dustin?
Do you keep your line work layer on?
Yes, I have it on right now just to help me to define.
David Attenborough is a national treasure here in the UK.
Of course he is. Shouldn't be any other way. That man is awesome. Bah, bah, bah.
Actually, has David Attenborough been knighted or no? He's not a sir, is he?
You know, I think he is.
Is he?
I think he has.
Sir,
I could be
Attenborough?
wrong. And if he hasn't, he
If
should
anybody that knows him or anyone from the UK knows, let us know. Oh yeah, he is. I thought so. It's for someone as great of a man as he is.
as awesome.
And awesome.
Okay, so I want to show you how to create kind of these little sparkly patterns. One thing I want to do is I'm going to put all these into a layer.
Yeah. Everybody's saying, "Yep, he's been knighted." Well, thank you for telling us.
And oops, let me redo that. Repeat that. There we go. I'm going to turn this off. And I'm going to. One thing I want to do is I'm going to. Merge the group. Now you'll see I've got some areas where it's it sticks out. I got to clean up some of these edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my.
Which name will you decide for this creature? We decided on Fernie.
Yeah, this is Fernie.
And fun question: is this a baby or adult version of this species?
I imagine it as an adult version, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because the ferns are looking fully grown back.
Yeah,
there.
these creatures only grow a few inches tall. So I'm just going to clean up some of these edges. Just a few areas that need to be cleaned up, not too many. So a lot of these are going to get close enough. Gross enough, because we got to hurry up with this. So this guy's coming along really nicely. I like this. Now I want to show you how to create some fun textures. So let's grab, I'm going to go to my smudge tool, and I want to go to my brushes, and I've got a brush that I created. Where is it? Did it disappear? Do I need to make a new one? Well, it's easy enough. I can make a new one, or maybe it's right here.
Well, turn on it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to make a new brush. Well, let me show you how to do this. So I'm going to go back to my regular brush. We're going to go to here. I'm going to go to new. We're going to make a brush that is 5 inches by 5 inches. So let's go inches, 5 by 5, and hit create. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to create a layer on top, and I'm going to go in with my brush right here, and I'm just going to create a series of, hold on.
A series of hold-ons.
Yeah, a series of hold-ons. There
What
we
are
go.
hold-ons?
So I'm at 50. Let's go up to full, and there. So I want to go different sizes, different shapes. About like that. That's what I want to do. So we're going to do that. Now I'm going to turn off the background. I'm going to come down to edit and define brush preset. I'm going to hit OK. So now I've got a brush. So I'm going to turn this off, turn this back on, turn that up. And I'm going to shrink it down. Right now all the brush does is this. Okay? I don't want that. I'm going to come up to my brush presets, and I'm going to go to shape dynamics first, and I want to have a size jitter. I want to have it flop, angle jitter, like so. And let me go back to brush tip shape, and I'm going to open up the spacing. So now you can see I've got this really interesting kind of random splotchy thing. Let me go back to shape dynamics. I can really play with the shape. Minimum diameter, I'll keep that there. Angle jitter, I'm going to really push that. No, I don't need brush projection. And maybe scattering. Do we want any scattering? Let me see. Maybe a little bit. So now I've got something I got a nice little random brush happening. And so I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to save that. Now let's go back to our little illustration here. And now I want to create some texture, some little sparklies. And so we've got all this on one layer, and I want to come up, and I'm going to go to my blend mode on my brush, and I'm going to go to color dodge, and I'm going to bring it up to a nice bright green up in here. And I'm going to set it at the opacity at about 20, maybe 19%. Okay? Now I'm going to repeat, I'm going to double this layer up just so I have some insurance in case I mess it up. And then watch, I'm going to just brush over this. And you can see if I blow this up, it starts to create a really nice kind of pattern on here. Let me blow it up even more. Now I'm going to come into let me go back to my brush tip shape, and I'm going to pull back on the spacing even more. There we go. I like that even better. So now watch when we come up to his nose. get a nice little interesting pattern without having to actually do any kind of texture photo bashing or anything like that. I can photo bash over the top of this if I want. Photo bashing is when I layer translucent photo textures over the top. So here we've got a nice texture there that I really like. Do you hear me say that I really like? Nick says there's evidence humans didn't actually see blue until modern times. There's actually a tribe in Africa that still doesn't see it.
Really?
Yep. Just imagine how different life would be if we still had to deal with dinosaurs at the family picnic. You're right.
Hey, look, honey, a T-Rex.
Let's gather
Why
up
is he
the
charging
stuff.
towards us?
So you can see it creates a very cool kind of texture. It's very subtle, but you can make it as subtle or as strong as you want. In this case, I really like. I'm leaving the line work in because I don't want to take the time to go in and. I'd have to spend another 6 or 7 hours rendering, and I've still got to get ready for class tomorrow. So I've got some fun textures here. So I like that a lot. I like it a lot.
A lot.
Okay, so let me fill the screen so you can see it. Let me get rid of that. So now you're getting a better sense of this little guy, this our little creature. And by thinking about where the light falls and the reflected light, you can really get that form to be defined. Now, one last thing, or a couple of last things to really kind of pull this all together. Let's get him to really sit in there. Now let's play with our depth of field. This is where it gets fun. So I'm going to repeat this again, turn that off. I'm going to grab my smudge tool, not my blur tool. My smudge tool is better. I have discovered over time that using my smudge tool is better than using my blur tool. I'm using my blur tool, and I'm going to get my soft round brush, the one that has a soft edge on it. All right. Okay, here we go. Michelangelo. Sorry, I haven't been answering questions. Rihanna on YouTube says, Aaron was my interviewer at Disney 11 or 12 years ago. Wow. I didn't know that. Okay, so watch this. We have a very shallow depth of field. We've got this, we've got him standing right in the area that's in focus. So the parts, and he's reaching towards part that's in focus. So I'm going to start pushing the stuff that goes back behind his head out of focus. I've got this big brush. Watch when I lay it over the top of his hand. It takes time because I don't want to distort it too much. But what I'm doing is smudging it and blurring it so that it recedes into the background. And as I come forward, I'm going to do it less and less, because the further it goes into the background, the more blurred it gets, right? Only a few spots left for tomorrow's live stream. That's Nick reminding me to remind you. Yeah, tomorrow's live stream is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be doing more of this, except I'm going to be getting into it a little bit more in depth. And it's 6 hours talking about creating believable creature designs. It's going to be a lot of fun. So what I'm doing now is I'm finding the little areas that should be pushed out of focus because of them being in the outside of our depth of field. Ooh, when sometimes my brain locks up when I'm trying to do something creative. There we go. So you can start to see it starts to sit in that world. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to push all of this out of focus. This fern, like it's pushed back, and then it gets really out of focus up here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move I'm going to take all of this, and then I'm going to erase back right there. So it feels like that fern goes back behind our fern that's coming forward. Rochelle asks, are you going to add a photo of ferns into the skin for texture? I saw a tutorial where you did that with leaves and it was really neat. I'm not going to do that for this one, but I have done it in the past. You're right.
Do you work with laptop or desktop with the Cintiq?
I have a desktop. I have a Mac Pro, the big cylinder. That's what I work with. So I'm going to push this really out of focus back here. Just really, really work it out of focus. It takes a little bit of time. Just got to work it, and it's thinking. But you'll see what happens is that it starts to sit and really meld with the rest of the illustration, with the photograph, and you got to push all of this back. And I'll blow it up for you here in just a second so you can see how it looks. But it's surprisingly convincing. And you just got to take a little bit of time and get it to sit in there.
Do these creatures grow actual leaves, or are they camouflage they put on by themselves?
I imagine these as like insects. They've adapted little growths on them, and they actually grow off their body. It's part of their body. So once again, we want to remind you guys, today is the last day for our big Cyber Week sale. Everything is 40% off, and we've continued it all through the week. So if you want to save, go to creatureartteacher.com. All of our courses, all of my animation tutorials, all of that are 40% off, along with my digital painting course where I show you how to do this kind of stuff, and all my Photoshop brushes, and our membership where you get everything for one price, which is it's the best deal. That's $75 off. So I'm going in and just working this, getting this guy to sit here. I've got another one that I'm working on that's similar to this that I'll share tomorrow when I finish it. I'm really happy with it. It's another little fern guy. Okay, so Nick, I'm going to share your dream. I don't know where the dream's going. I hope it's kid friendly, but here we go. Nick says, true story. I had a dream last night that I was hanging out with Vin Diesel, and for some reason we had to fight our way up to the 10th floor of a building to deal with a bad guy. For some reason. Anyway, we got all the way up there fighting the whole way, and then Travis, my brother, opened the door in the hallway and said, "Hey Nick, can I ask you a computer question? It'll just take a second." And I spent the rest of the dream doing tech support while poor Vin Diesel had to fend for himself. That's my brother. I think my brother's affecting you, Nick.
I think I can see that happen.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
I hope Travis is listening right now.
He's gonna be like, "What the hell, Nick?" Have you ever met Disney storyboard artist Paul Briggs?
I know Paul Briggs very. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. But Paul and I worked in Florida together for years and years. And then when I was doing King of the Elves, Paul was my head of story. I hired him to be head of story, Right now he's doing the dragon movie.
Yeah, Raya and the Dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, Paul's a genius.
What is your favorite venomous animal?
Gila, no, not Gila monster. I wouldn't say it's venomous, but Komodo dragons are really awesome. But I don't know that they're venomous. They just have a lot of bacteria in their saliva.
Do you think this creature is warm or cold-blooded?
Cold-blooded. Like a salamander or a newt.
A cold-blooded killer. Maybe Travis was a bad guy diversion so Vin Diesel would have to fend for himself.
So now we're getting this guy to sit inside just to sit in the illustration a little better.
Do we think this Fernie is poisonous? I can't imagine he eats poisonous berries, and if anything eats him, they are done for.
Well, then I should put some little warning colors on him, because that's what usually happens in nature. They get really bright colors. That way they don't get harassed, because they're saying, hey, I'm poisonous, dude.
Hey there, dude.
So there we go. So there's our little guy, and let me, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to darken him a little bit more, just see if he sits a little better. Actually, I'm going to double him up, and I'm going to darken him. I think he does sit a little better silhouetted like that, and then, because I've got two layers, what I can do is come up, go to my eraser.
Komodos actually are venomous. The bacteria thing was debunked years ago. They are the largest venomous reptiles in the world.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was just bacteria. Very cool. Thank you.
Too.
Thank you for enlightening me.
I know this question might be considered disrespectful at this point, but how's Snow Bear going?
That is so disrespectful.
So disrespectful. Insta-ban.
Insta-ban. Nick, do the thing. Get rid of that person. Snow Bear is obviously going as you probably expect. It's slow. But we have goals for it. So I'm going through right now and lightening up areas to get it to pop a little better. But I wanted the reason I went into darken it is I wanted a better silhouette. Just a better silhouette. And those little ferns are working pretty well. Still think they could probably be a little bit more out of focus. Just a little more in focus.
After focus. Focus. Have you also met Disney concept artist Bill Schwab?
I hired Bill Schwab as well.
Is that his name?
Bill Schwab.
How you pronounce it, Schwab?
Yeah, I know Bill Schwab very well. When he first came to Disney, I hired him for the project we were working on. Bill is awesome. I really love Bill. He's a good guy.
Do you work with colored pencil at all?
Yes,
Really?
I do. Really, I do.
Really, how do?
There we go. So there we go. That's it. There's our little creature. I'm going to come in here and maybe hit just a little bit more. One more thing. It's always one more thing, isn't it, Dustin?
It's always one more thing. 12 hours later.
Let's go a little brighter. Let's go back to our brush. And I'm going to go up here to to our regular soft round opacity. We're still at 19%. I just want to hit a couple of areas just to brighten up.
What was Eric Goldberg like?
Short. Eric Goldberg's awesome. The guy's a genius, and he's such a animation historian. He really is.
Are you going to work on insects or arachnids?
Yes. Yes. I will. So there we go. So here's our little creature. Like I said, I would spend, to really get this to meld into the photograph, I would spend quite a bit more time rendering before I went to the finish stage like we just did. But I do think that, you know, what's really fun with something like this is we were on this for a little over 2 hours, and you can see what we created in 2 hours. And so when I was at Disney, I could do 3 of these a day and really get some fun concepts done. It was always a lot of fun being able to do that. And so here it is. And this is our little character, Fernie.
Fernie.
Fernie. Little Fernie. And so that's it. And it's, you know, it's a fun technique. Try going out and if you've got a digital camera, a decent digital camera, try going out and doing this technique. It's a lot of fun. I love exploring little macro areas and finding some really nice shallow depth of field areas to photograph, and then coming back and designing little hidden creatures to go in there. This is a lot of fun. Let me go ahead and fill the frame.
By the way, you did save, right?
Oh no, I haven't saved yet.
Oh no.
But Photoshop is such that, you know, I won't lose it if it goes away. Usually. Save as. Let's call it Fernie 2.
For the love of God, save Aaron!
Okay. Here he goes. There's my little saved guy.
Hey,
This is Baby Yoda's little friend.
Fernie.
Actually, Baby Yoda would probably eat him.
Oh yeah, most likely.
So, anyway, but try this if you've got the digital tools. It's a lot of fun, and it really teaches you a lot about light. When you're looking at the image that you have to get your character to sit in, it really teaches you about reflected light, using the light that's in the image in order to get it to sit in there, all of that. And is it cheating? No, it's fun. You're all you're doing is image creating. So don't, if someone says that's cheating, you know, painting into a photograph, screw it. I don't care. I do it and I love it. It's fun. And it's fun to create, like I said, these little creatures sitting in a world that we already know. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And we will see you again next Friday at our next live stream. And we'll be getting into the 12 days of Christmas, so expect some fun stuff then. And remember, we've got our live event tomorrow. If you want to learn more stuff like this, my event tomorrow is creating hidden creatures. Creating believable imaginary creatures. That's what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow. I'll be getting more into anatomy and how to contort and change anatomy. I'm going to be talking a lot about skeletal structure and muscles and what their jobs are from a very basic level, so that you can understand. Let's say if you want to put wings on a horse, you have to understand that those wings have to be attached to muscles that are incredibly huge. So you can't just put wings on a horse. You actually have to change the skeletal structure and the muscles in order for it to be something that's believable. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. And then later, the second half of the day, we will be creating a brand new creature. So that's tomorrow. And if you'd like to join, go over to creatureartteacher.com/live. And we've got all the information right there. And then also, remember, my oil course is still available, or it's newly available as of last week. My brand new course on studio oil painting. It's 20 hours where I take you through my entire process of painting one of the big savanna lions that I saw. Excuse me, on my on my last trip to Africa. And then also Tim Hodge has a brand new course out. You remember Tim, who created How to Draw Cartoon Animals? Well, he's just completed, and we've just put up How to Draw Cartoon People. And it's a lot of fun. It's very cool and really perfect for people just starting out and the younger artists in your family. So it's a lot of fun. And then, like I always say, check us out over at Patreon. Go to patreon.com/AaronBlaiseArt. And if you can support us, then that's wonderful, because that helps us support you. So anyway, I hope you guys had a great day. I had a lot of fun creating this little guy. Go out in the woods, go out in the forest, go out, get outside, and see the world around you and be inspired. We all live in different parts of the world that offer us different types of inspiration. So I don't care if you're in Southeast Asia, or you're in Siberia, or you're in Alaska, or you're in Nigeria, or wherever you might be. There's places around in the natural world that can give you some really cool inspiration for some really fun creatures. So go out there and try some of these techniques that we did today. And like I always say, put some beauty back into the world. Make somebody's life better. And I will talk to you next week. Thanks, Dustin.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm glad you guys enjoyed this stream. And I'll see you guys next week on Friday. And until next time, Cowboy Bebop. See ya.